That's what I'm talking about, son. Get you some of that daggone pie.
Woo-hoo! Looky there! There's your bug-eyed big one right there.
Getting started. We're getting started.
Here's what I'm talking about. Gosh dang gorilla!
Let's go, baby. Straight meat. God, look at that biggin'.
Discover Plumas County, where adventure meets tranquility. Nestled in the heart of nature, Plumas County offers endless activities for everyone. Dive into the clear waters of Lake Almanor for wakeboarding thrills and fishing excitement. Whether you're an adrenaline junkie or a fishing enthusiast, Lake Almanor has something for you. Stroll through charming local boutiques and indulge in fine dining experiences that will tantalize your taste buds. From unique shops and gourmet restaurants, Plumas County is a haven for those who love to explore and savor. Immerse yourself in lush forests of pine and fir trees, perfect for camping, hiking, and biking. And don't miss the breathtaking Lassen Volcanic National Park, where you can witness the power and beauty of nature up close. Footloose in Plumas County, your ultimate escape for adventure, relaxation, and unforgettable memories. Visit Plumas County today.
All right, welcome in everybody to the BAM Pod. I'm your host, Big Ed, and on the line tonight, I have got a gentleman. You've heard me make the call. You've heard him come up. You've seen what he can do. Well, let me tell you what this man can do. He was our Shasta champion. He took Oroville at second. He took Delta second. He took third at Clear Lake. He took 20th at the Columbia River, a third at the TOC. He took big fish for the entire year. And on top of that, he was Angler of the Year. Here comes Mr. Chris Trumbull. Bring it on in, my friend, man. You just dominated this year. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It was a great year.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a list. When I started going over, checking everything, I'm like, I know he did good this year. I know he had Angler of the Year this year, but how well did he do? I'm on the stage, I get to call it, but I rarely get to see where the points all end up and that sort of thing. It's not my deal. So when I go back, I do the research and I look at you guys, man, you had a heck of a year, and it wasn't just that you were dominant. I mean, you did this. There is nothing. The Columbia River, right? You travel that far to get to the Columbia River, and you took a 20th. That's your lowest place, man. That's impressive right there. 20th place, still there. You didn't make the top 10, but hey, that's still a great year right there. Topping it off with Angler of the Year, taking big fish for the whole entire year. I mean, I don't know what to say, dude. I have so many questions to ask you. I'm sure there's a bunch of people listening that are going to want to know exactly how you did all of that. But on top of everything, and this is where we're going to go with this show, you have toppled the co-angler division, man. You made it look easy, and I know it wasn't. But this year you've decided to flip it around a little bit and head to the front of the boat. You're going to become a pro on the pro-ams out there on the BAM trail. And that is no easy step, but I mean, you have obviously taken the time, you've done the work, you've made it to the point in your life, in your career where you've decided I'm going forward, and I'm hoping this is what you've been striving for. Yes?
Yeah, I set a goal 3 years ago. I got out of fishing for a while. 2013 was my last tournament that I fished, and my buddy Mark Mello got me back into it, fishing teams, fishing with him, pre-fishing, for everything. And then he got me into the pro-ams again, and didn't do good my first couple of years. I really didn't. I was the guy that wasn't catching a limit every tournament. I was the guy that I blanked in a couple tournaments, matter of fact. It just the way things go. But before we go any further, I do have to thank each and every one of my pros that I fished with this year. Without them, I couldn't have done what I did.
Hey, and that's where I wanted to lead off with this. You started the back of the boat, and you got back into fishing. You just told me you struggled a little bit. Now you come back and didn't struggle so much this year. You did a great job this year. And now we're looking at, stepping up and going to the front of the boat. Now you're taking on the financial responsibility. You're taking on the pre-fishing responsibility. You're taking on, now you're going to have the co-angler in the back of your boat. Let's talk a little bit about what it means to do that, and how much have you learned from your pros this year that made you say, you know what, I am absolutely ready to take this step.
Yeah, it's funny because I was able to fish with Greg Gutierrez this year, Ken Maw, Ish Monroe, and just talking to those guys, it made my decision to go to the front a lot easier this year. And a lot of the times I was side eyeing them. I would act like I was not paying attention to them, but I'm watching them 100%. The way they're casting, the way they're flipping, just little things that I could pick up on that would help me, because I'm in the back of the boat. I'm not a guy that's trying to fish the same way they are. In none of the tournaments did I fish the way that my pros were. I was trying to do something completely different than them, and it paid off.
Okay. That's that is when we look at, co-anglers, and I've had this discussion with some of the other ones, Dante Ray and things like that. And I ask, what are you trying to do? What is the change? What is that you're looking for? You did a great thing on top of that. Like I said, you took Angler of the Year this year as a co-angler, and that is taking Angler of the Year is a very difficult thing to do. Doing it as a co is so much harder, in my opinion, because you are doing exactly what you just said. You are trying not to do exactly what those guys in the front of the boat are doing, because you can't. You can't cast where they're casting. You can't, throw over their shoulders. You can't, you've got to be respectful of their water and their boat. And you're doing something that I find, so much more difficult to do what you did. Becoming the co-angler of the year is a difficult feat, but you did it. Is there anything that you really, to telling people out there, it's like, hey, if you're going to come out and be a co-angler, this is what you really want to try to do. What is it that really can make that, I guess, go up that level and become that kind of an angler out of the back of the boat?
You got to have an open mind. You really do. You gotta know that there's days where you might not catch a fish. I mean, and I'm not in this for the money. I'm not in it for the popularity. It's more of just going out and having fun. I got introduced fishing from my grandfather when I was little, and me and both my brothers were always out fishing. And then I started fishing with two brothers, Marty and Eric Warner, in Antioch. We would go up to Lake Contra Loma and chase stripers around Contra Loma. and they got me into the tournament circuit, and but it was never serious. Kind of the holdback of going to the front of the boat was due to my job. I didn't have the time to take off to go. And this year, my wife was like, "You need to do this." So we went at it, and I pre-fished every tournament. I have a boat. I have a tournament ready boat. And I was gone a lot. My wife's all in on this. That was the big deal. The big deal was having the wife in on it, and she pushed me harder than anybody's pushed me as far as my fishing goes. And she's like, "Nope, go." She expected me gone every weekend, and I was gone every weekend pre-fishing for Clear Lake. If you go back and you look at all of our tournaments, you had myself, Rodney Brown, Dante Ray, Joe Cote. The four of us were the main four guys that were constantly in the top 10. So I was always, I wasn't so much, when I got, and I'll be honest with you, taking the 20th at the Columbia River, it kicked me in the shorts. When I got home, I didn't even look at the standings. I didn't even care about it. I didn't look at the standings until the first night of practice for the Columbia River.
Wow.
I just tuned it out and focused on the Clear Lake tournament.
Okay.
And the goal was Angler of the Year. I really wanted the Angler of the Year.
Well, yeah, I mean, you ended up with that, so that's a great, that's a great way to go. talking about keeping an open mind and going at it with these guys and still learning enough, and I feel like everybody that I talked to so far has said that. Joe is one of those guys that I actually want to get on this show too, because he did it, like you said, he was one of those guys, did a great job. Rodney Brown, having these guys on here is going to be impressive to hear. Like I said, I still think that being out of the back of the boat is one of the toughest jobs out there. Just because you do have to fish behind some of these, I mean, anglers that are absolute, guys like you talked about. I mean, Greg Gutierrez is in a vacuum. I mean, that guy doesn't leave a lot of water for you, right?
No,
Right, you said Ish
none of them
Monroe,
do.
right? I mean, there's some. You're talking about two
Yep.
national anglers right there. These guys don't do this for, just because they're just want to go out and fish. They're doing this for a living. They're doing this to make some money, and they're really good at what they do. You got to fish
Yeah.
behind them, and that's a positive and a negative in the sense that, yeah, you've got to figure out a way to catch fish behind those guys. And I just, and to do it the way you did it and come out the way you did it, yeah, Columbia River kind of sucked, but for you, and I get that you took it the shorts on that one,
Yeah.
but hey, you know what? It's still a 20th, and that's not that bad considering the amount of anglers that were up there and being on new water. How many times did you fish the Columbia River before that?
That
Yeah,
was the
so
second
I
time.
mean, that's it's a good water,
Yeah.
and it is what it is up there. I think going forward, next year, as a pro, you're going to have a little bit more knowledge. You're going to have a little bit of an idea. You said when you kicked off this whole thing that you would set goals. What are the goals you set for next year? I mean, I'd love to hear what your idea for next year is.
Yeah. So I've been kicking that one around a bit. Granted, it's going to be New Maloney's I've never been to. So that's going to be a whole learning curve. I plan on spending some time down there on that one. But if I can manage an overall a top 20, and I'm not looking, I don't know that I'll make the TOC. But if I can manage to finish in the top 20, I mean, granted, we're going to have a lot more boats next year. I've had a lot of guys call me, say, we're coming back. We wanted to take a year off to see how things went, and a lot of guys are happy with the way things went. So, I'm thinking we're going to have at least 60 plus boats in every tournament now, which is
Yeah.
going to be great. But yeah, so having a top 20 would, and I mean top 20 overall. I'm fishing both circuits. I'm going to fish the Columbia River and potholes as well.
Oh,
So I'll have a possibility of qualifying two different
Yeah.
ways. So it'll be interesting.
that'll be awesome to see.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit before the show, and you had mentioned something to me that I think is very interesting. And you had talked about people kind of coming up to you and asking for advice. And that advice, you don't get that unless you get and earn something. And that earning, the thing that you earned is obviously respect. I mean, you don't go out there and have the year that you had and do what you were doing. Chris, this was, it was I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to be humble sometimes when you do as well as you did, but you did so well. And to see that you are still humble about it, that's great, I'd love to know how that makes you feel when people all of a sudden out of nowhere just kind of come up and they're starting to ask you for the advice on what they should do or how they should do it, or how does that make you feel, and what do you kind of give, I guess, contribute that to?
Well, it was, like I said, I had a couple people ask me, for advice of what they should do for the next year. And I'll be honest, I kind of giggled. I kind of laughed at myself that someone would ask me for advice, because a lot of people that do know me know that, I'm out to have fun. I'm not a mean person, but I'm more joke around type of guy than
Okay.
I am anything. But yeah, it meant, it meant a lot to me that and strangers were talking to me about it. People I don't know, maybe someone I've said hi to a couple times. I've got a lot more followers on Facebook, I'll tell you that.
That's awesome. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
you just said that
Um,
before. You're like, oh, I'm not in
yeah.
this for the fame or I'm not in it for this. But, you're fishing a trail in the BAM trail that is giving you more notoriety, more, absolutely media coverage and the ability to be out there more and become that guy that's a little, that people are looking to. How- You know, when you talk about the respect, do you feel like you're getting that as you've gone forward with this trail?
Tell a new fish story with Garmin EchoMap Ultra 2 chart plotters in 10 and 12-inch models featuring traditional clear view, side view sonar. Heard about Garmin's live scope, live scanning sonar? EchoMap Ultra 2 is compatible with that also. You can even capture your favorite and best fish catches with the new screen recording feature. What more could you want? How about built-in Garmin Navionics, inland and coastal mapping? Wireless networking? Check and check. EchoMap Ultra 2. Check it out at Garmin.com or shop your local Garmin dealer.
It was funny. When we got to the Columbia River, I fished with Greg Gutierrez on the first day. And I got in Greg's boat, and Greg kind of looked at me and he's like, I got a spot I want to start at, but I don't know that I want to take you there. And I kind of looked at him. And I said, well, I should take this one of two ways. Either you don't like me or you think I'm going to run my mouth to someone else. And I told him, I said, I kind of take offense to that because if you're worried about me saying something, you're in the wrong sport. And he kind of looked at me. He said, okay, yeah, we're going to do this. Well, we end up breaking down that day. But no, and it was, I've had multiple conversations with Greg since then. I've been to Greg's house. We've shared baits, and just a really good guy, really good person, a lot of knowledge, as all of the pros are that are out here fishing, that are taking their time, to be out here and fish with us.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I think that's the good side of where you're at, fishing when you're fishing the BAM trail like this and you're fishing with such good anglers. I mean, we are drawing some of the best anglers on the West Coast. And like you said, I think next year it's just going to get bigger. Taking this trail to places like Potholes, taking it back up to Boardman, taking it to, places where they haven't had tournaments in so, major tournaments in so long. It's going to draw some even better anglers, and they have an opportunity to be in that Pacific Northwest. They have the opportunity to be in the California region. They have the opportunity to do that. You said you're going to try to fish both of them. That is absolutely impressive right there to try to fish both of those against the anglers that I feel like we're going to get. I think there's going to be some guys coming out of that whole area up there in Idaho, Washington, Oregon that are going to, creep out of the woodwork that were kind of, holding back this year going, okay, seen it, done it. Yep, these guys are for real. Let's do this.
Right.
Um, how is that? What is that going to be like for you for a challenge? I mean, is that something you're ready for? Is like, hey, you know what? I want this challenge. I want to face the best guys out there.
Absolutely. You're not going to get any better if you're not going to challenge yourself. And the whole goal is to get better. I mean, it's not to say I wasn't having fun in the back of the boat, because I really did. I really had a lot of fun. But like I said, 3 years ago, I made a promise to myself that if things went good, and things went very well for me, but
Yes, they did.
if things just went good, I was going to go to the front in 2025. And like we talked, things went very well. So now it's time to go. The whole issue before, like I said, it was getting time away from work, and the time away from work is no problem. It
Okay.
was, do I want to spend that much time fishing and being away from the family? But the family is now like, let's go. We'll all go. We can all go, and we all have fun.
Wow, that's impressive. I will love to see that up there for sure. I've always said that. I love when the families show up, and I love when they come out and support, and you just see everybody there. It's an amazing part of the event that I 100% love. Um, you know, I think next year, is there any one, let me ask this. Is there any one body of water that you're just itching to get on, that you're just like, I love fishing there and I want to get on that thing and show people what I can do on it?
The Delta. I grew up in Antioch. I lived down there for 30 years. I now live up in Redding. I've been up here for 4 years. But yeah, being able to make my own decisions on the Delta, it's going to be a challenge for myself, but
Mhm.
it also, I I don't know if it's going to be easier or harder for me because now I'm making, a lot of people struggle on the tidal water, and it's kind of funny how, the lake fishermen are good lake fishermen, but they can't do the tidal water. The tidal water guys struggle on on the lake. So it'll be interesting. It's, I don't think that I'll change because like I said, I pre-fished for all of them. So I know, I have an idea what I'm doing already. We're a lot of guys. I mean, I'll go back to Joe Cote. Joe just shows up and goes fishing, and he damn near kicks us all, and he damn near wins every time. Just a great fisherman.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna now there's gonna be some more co-anglers that show up next year. There's gonna be some more of this. Um, does this leave a door open for any one co-angler that you think? I mean, I know you just said that with Joe. You've talked about Donna. Is there, Rodney? Is there a guy out there that, I mean, now these guys aren't going forward yet this year. They're going to stay where they're at. They're going to be co-anglers again. Um, does this leave a door open? Is there somebody that people should be watching?
Yeah, Mark, big time. Mark White.
Mark
I
White.
think, look at what he did. He cleaned us out at Clear Lake, and he damn near didn't even need the limit on day 3 at the TOC. Mark needs to get the lakes down, and the other lakes that he didn't do very good up here in Shasta. I don't think he did good at Oroville. But yeah, I think Mark's going to have. It'll be interesting because we're not going back to Clear Lake, so
Right.
and we're definitely not going back to Berryessa. So Mark's gonna, but like I said, he put a whooping on us.
Hmm. All right. I mean, that's a good name out there. Had him on the show, talked to him after the TOC, how he did out there, and he is a heck of an angler. Um, that'll be a good one to watch. I will if you aren't following these co-anglers out there, I know that everybody, when you listen to this show or you listen to you're expecting, the top pros out there. Don't sleep on these co-anglers. These guys are doing work that is not easy to do. And when you're talking about the Joe Cotes, the Mark Whites, the Dante Rays, the Mr. Chris Trumbulls that we have on right now, and I mean Rodney Brown, who's one of the quietest guys I think I'll ever meet when it comes to this. I don't know him off the water that well, but I know when he's up there on that stage, everything else, he's up there. He's about doing, fishing, and he's just a quiet, underspoken guy. And I think it's interesting, watch these guys, follow these guys on their social media pages. I know that Chris, you don't have a whole lot. I mean, you got Facebook. I saw your Instagram a little bit, and it says don't expect much here. Um, I don't know what you're gonna do going forward with all this. I have fun, I guess.
Yeah, no, the plan is to have fun. Like I said, I'm not in it for the notoriety or the money. If I didn't fish, I'd be a millionaire. I make a good living, and the fishing is a suck off of it.
Yeah, I mean it's something to look forward to as you go onto the pro side now. I mean, we will absolutely be looking forward to watching you and seeing where you go with that. The reason I was kind of asking you what your goals are for this is now with the Super 60 out there. I mean, $50,000 for first place on a $2,500 entry fee. It'll probably Super 70 is what it'll actually be this year, I have a feeling. But um, when you look at that, is that's like the next step for you to try to make that pro tour and find out if you can make a decent, extra living. I don't want to say if you make a good living now, you probably don't need to make a living doing fishing, but is it something you would strive for? Is it something you look at and go, I'd love to make that?
Yeah, it's. I would definitely, if I qualified, I would probably do it. I wouldn't. I already have people that will help me as far as I have sponsors. I have sponsors that want to pay for the wrap on my boat, and it's all there. It's just qualifying. It's to make it. It would be me going against the best in the West.
Oh yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? Yeah, it's a little bit the money. It's a little bit of money, but I would look more. Probably the wear and tear on the boat for all the driving is what would deter me if it were to deter me. But
Yeah, there's a little bit of,
can't take the
of
boat with
travel
you.
involved.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they don't let you bring it as a check in the airport. Let me tell you, I've tried.
Right. Yeah. It's not a carry-on anymore.
It's not. You know, when I hear that, because that's why I asked that question. You always want to compete against the best. Well, that is definitely the Pro Tour is definitely the best the West has to offer right now. It's going to keep getting better. I mean, there are guys coming out that came out of the woodwork when Mark put that up there that the Super 60 was going to be alive and well. This is what it was going to be. People can absolutely 100% make a, you know, you would have to do pretty well in my opinion. $50,000 is a good start. In my opinion, that's a good start. I mean, for some people, that is a living. It's a small living, and if you make $50,000 a year, that's one thing. You may have to win two or three events to actually do that, but you know what? It pays down quite a ways, and there's something there. Um, do you? I guess the question is, do you think that this is a new era for bass fishing on the West Coast? Like this is where guys can make a living, and I'd love to see the pot go up even higher, and I'm sure it probably can and probably will as sponsors come on. But do you think this is a new era out here for the West Coast and something we haven't had and we need?
Well, I've been tournament fishing since the '80s, and I don't remember anything that was set up like that. Up for anybody out here.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there were a couple of circuits that had tried little things like that, but it never really worked. It never really panned out, and it definitely didn't have that kind of money on it.
Right.
It's the support factor is, it's California with all the taxes and everything in California. It's kind of hard for that money to be there for people to keep on shelling out. And, I think that there could be a turnover on it as far as for anglers, guys that
Mm-hmm.
are going to try it and they don't do well and they go back to doing the pro-ams. But there's plenty of guys that are going to take their spot if someone backs out. I mean, I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think there'll be a shortage of anglers that where it will go under 60.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you on that. But let's take this back a little bit to fishing now. And we've got Shasta coming up. It is going to be wintertime. It's going to be Shasta. And you say you're living up in Redding now. So what is it going to be up there? How are you going to start preparing and what are you looking at for Shasta? I mean, is this I've seen some good weights come out of there in January, February, that sort of thing, dead of winter. What are you looking at and how are you going to prepare for it?
So being out of the back of the boat, there were a couple of techniques that I did not do out of the back of the boat. A-rig, I never threw an A-rig out of the back of the boat. I hardly ever throw an A-rig. I'm not comfortable with it, but I know that I need to get comfortable with it. The water's down. When I got home from Berryessa, I told the wife I'm parking the boat until Christmas. Well, I ended up going out on Sunday fishing, and me and my buddy, we end up getting into a group of trout and spent 2.5 hours catching 30 trout. So we just had fun throwing swim baits, catching trout.
I believe I saw that post.
Yeah. So, the A-rig is going to be a big deal that I need to learn a little bit more. And the water, the water's down quite a bit from where it was last year. So what I was fishing last year, as far as for compared now to when tournament time will be. Everything's dry from what I fished last year. So it's trying to locate stuff now it's kind of up in the air because we should be getting more weather for the lake to come up.
We're going to take a short commercial break and talk to you about one of our great sponsors, StoreQuest Self-Storage. They're here to help you get your garage back. As an outdoor enthusiast, you have gear, lots of expensive gear, equipment, boats, trailers, and vehicles, probably all stored in your garage. You need a storage space that's easy to access, secure, and climate controlled. And that's where StoreQuest comes in. Head over to storequest.com. Plus, members receive an exclusive 10% discount with the offer code BAM10. That's BAM 10. StoreQuest is the official self-storage partner of the BAM Tournament Trail. Now, back to the BAM Pod.
Is there any one bait that besides the A-rig that really shines for you? You say you don't like to throw it. You don't not like to throw it. You're just not comfortable with it. Let's make that correct when I say that. So you just say you're not comfortable with it. Now, going forward, what is your comfort bait this time of year? What is that one thing that you can tell people out there? It's like, hey, if you're not throwing this, you're just missing out.
Well, all last year I threw 4 baits, pretty much predominantly threw 4 baits on Shasta, Oroville, and Berryessa. And that was Bobby D jigs. If you don't have them, you need to get them. I have Nico rig, Fatty Z's, and 3.75 swim baits.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that's keeping it, now, is that just because you're out of the back of the boat, or is that something that you're going to throw no matter what? Those are like that. These are my staples. This is what I do. This is how I like it.
Yes, that's what I like. That's what I've got dedicated rods, this rod has to have this Nico rig on it, or this rod has to have the swim bait on it. Yeah. I'm kind of finicky in that way as far as, we've got 24 poles in the boat, which is another new thing for me because I was only allowed to have 8, and it seemed like when I would take the 8, I'd only use 4. So now I have so many. That's the other thing. I don't want to complicate myself to where, pre-fishing, I'll be working down where I'll probably only be bringing 10 poles in the boat.
Okay. You basically said everything in there kind of a finesse fishing. Is there something that is there a power fishing, something that you really like doing? Is it, what is that bait that you go to if you're going to be just cranking and winding?
Well, hopefully we're going to see it on the Delta, and that's a frog.
Oh, okay.
You can't, I've always done very well that time of year on the frog. My biggest fish is one that was 12.3 on the Delta,
Wow.
pre-fishing for a tournament. And I ended up catching a 10. My biggest fish in the tournament is a 10.31.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that bite.
Okay. Well,
yeah. But the lakes, I prefer to finesse. I prefer to put the trolling motor down and just go down the bank. I don't like to run and gun. I've never really been the person to run and gun.
I guess we'll see if that changes at all as you become the pro angler. I know that I've talked to a few guys that have made that transition, and they go, my fishing was this, and it changed a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see, after you talk about it right now, it's like, it'll be interesting to see if your technique and style change at all to kind of adapt with that as far as being in the back of the boat where you don't have a chance to run and gun, to going to the front where you have the opportunity. But if it's what you like to do is to go slow and go down the bank and just work it out, that's one thing. And I'd love to see how I'd love to watch how you transition. I think it's going to be very interesting to see. And it's a very interesting transition to watch. I will love being up there, being able to call and get you come across the stage as a pro angler saying, you know what, everybody, here comes Trumbull. So let's get it. We are we're kind of out of time, but I want to give you the last few minutes of this thing to kind of tell everybody a little bit about who you are. They just listened to it. You just dropped some good knowledge on them. You had a heck of a year. Tell everybody about who you are. Talk a little bit about some of your sponsors and, how they can get a hold of you. Chris, take it away, man.
Yeah, no, the whole, coming back on what you were just saying though, having an open mind, as far as, yeah, I like to finesse, but got to have an open mind where things are going to change and you got to be able to adapt to that change. Part of fishing Shasta last year when I won is I made a change on day 2 fishing with Ryan Hall that made a difference for both of us. It was just a little change that I did that clued us into what the fish were actually doing. And then I went to a different bait and I stayed with that bait for day 3 where I weighed my biggest bag, just over 15 pounds on Shasta. But yeah, like I said, I've been up in Redding now for 4 years. I love it up here. Got to have a good fan base behind you. Your support system, you got to have that. If you don't have that, it's going to be a tough road. It's going to be a tough road. Yeah, my supporters, Slayer Duck Calls, got Trumbull's Trinity Lodge. It's an Airbnb guide service on the Trinity River for salmon and steelhead. If anybody's interested, you can check it out on Facebook. Red Bluff Sporting Goods in Red Bluff. They got Reynolds Ranch Farm Supply. It's one building that has basically 4 stores in it. You've got clothing upstairs for the girls. You got your farm animal feed. You got a gun shop and the tackle shop all under one building.
Wow.
Downrange indoor shooting in Chico. Check them out. Gotta say big thanks to Steve Johns. Steve Johns has opened up a lot of doors for me. And it was all about me going into the store every once in a while, talking to him and helping him out on one of the shows they did. And he's, hooked me up with Costa sunglasses. Big thanks to Maury Hatch. If anybody knows Maury, give Maury a call. Yeah, I mean, I'm approachable. One of the things that I wanted to say is that when I started doing this, I was pairing up with some big names. And I had people coming up to me and saying, "Oh, you're not going to like fishing with that guy, or you're not going to like fishing with this guy." And let me tell you, every time that I drew that person, I had a blast fishing with them. I had laughing. We were telling jokes to each other. We were talking trash. The pros that we fish against up here, these guys are great. If people are worried about drawing someone and getting backseated, I haven't seen it. And you can look at my weights, look at my record, what I've done this year, and I'm not getting backseated if I'm doing what I'm doing. All these guys are stand up, they're approachable, you can talk to them, you can ask them for advice. I know this was supposed to be about me, but I want more people out here. We need more people out here. And a lot of the guys that are sitting at home thinking that they're going to have a bad experience. If you're having a bad experience, it's because you made it a bad experience.
Florida. The name alone evokes thoughts of sun, sand, and giant bass. Florida's unique ecosystems make it the world's best bass fishing destination. Whether you're a seasoned pro or a rookie to the sport, Florida offers endless fishing opportunities. The best part? You can catch giant bass year-round in any of the many freshwater bodies across the state. To learn more, visit mydfwc.com/trophy bass. Florida. Make your bass dreams come true.
Well said.
Yeah, come talk to us. Hit me up. Yep.
All right, man. Where can they find you as far as like your social media, that sort of thing? What do you monitor the most?
I'm really not, I'm in my 50s. That's the other thing. A lot of people don't realize I'm as old as I am. I'm in my 50s. So I'm not really a social media person. I'm on Facebook occasionally. And I go on Facebook more to look at reels than anything else. And it's the stupid comedy and the dad jokes and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm on Facebook if anyone wants to hit me up.
Okay. Well, I guess everybody, you can follow him at thebamtrail.com this year because he is going to be making some waves. Chris Trumbull, thank you so much for coming on and doing the show, man. I absolutely 100% look forward to seeing you out there every time and love getting you up there on the stage and, coming across talking about some fishing and weighing those fish, man, is going to be awesome this year. It's going to be interesting to see you at the front of the boat looking at those pros. So I hope you do very well. I hope you do as well as you did in this co-angler role. And it is going to be a little bit of a step up to definitely have to fight and deal with some of the guys, excuse me, in a different way. But I think you got it in you, man. You're a heck of an angler, and you've proven that. So it'll be good seeing you next year on the pro side, man. Congratulations, and thanks for doing the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Go out there, win some tournaments next year, and we will have you back on the show. Everybody, thank you for tuning in tonight. I hope you got a lot of knowledge out of this. Chris is a heck of an angler. He gave you some good advice. He gave you some good techniques. Go out there, get off the couch, come out there, compete with us at the BAM Trail. We would love to have you. We'll see you all on the next show.